I have an 88 VLX. It just stopped working. I shit you not. These are the questions I get sent. So if your bike just stopped working, it's time to throw it away. Right? No. Basically, the diagnostic tree, which I will also address later in this live video, the diagnostic tree is fuel, spark, compression. So first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that your bike is getting fuel. You start at the gas tank. Is your gas cap properly vented? That's where all the fuel starts. You start at the very point of fuel entering the bike. That's the tank. So is the gas cap open? Is it plugged? Go to your petcock. Is the petcock plugged? Is the fuel line pinched? Is your fuel filter full of crap and thus not letting anything flow through? Is your float valve stuck? Is there a bunch of garbage in your float bowl? If you are fond of throwing garbage in your gas tank, this is a possibility. If you have a gas tank that was purchased somewhere between 1800 and 1825, you may have a gas tank full of rust, chips, and garbage. So fuel, as long as the bike is getting fuel, you move to spark. So to check and see if you are getting fuel, the first thing I would do is, open my float bowl drain screw and see if there's any fuel actually coming out of the float bowl. If there's fuel coming out of the float bowl, excuse me, if there's fuel coming out of the float bowl, that means you're getting fuel to the bowl. That doesn't necessarily mean it's actually getting pulled up out of the carb into the cylinders where you make the explosions to make things go forward. The next step would be, are you getting fuel in the cylinders? You can, if you're firing a bike up and you're not getting anything happening, you can smell fuel in the exhaust. You can smell fuel in the pipes. If you get to a point where you're just pumping and pumping and pumping and you're not getting any spark, then you're going to end up with a situation which is known as washing your cylinders. So gasoline that enters into the cylinders is going to be combusted with the air and create the power to move the pistons and give you forward motion with your motor. If the gasoline just gets sprayed in there and it just sits on the walls, it ends up washing the walls of any oil. So the walls of your cylinders are coated with oil, and when you just soak them in gasoline, they're going to have no lubrication. And then you have the rings of your pistons will start scraping raw metal, just scraping. It's not good. And then you also have the problem of having gas in your oil. If it gets past the rings into the crankcase, now you have to flush your whole crankcase. So making sure that you have fuel and then spark is very important. So the next step in the diagnostic tree is going to be spark. So is your battery good? That's the first place to start. Honda Shadows or Hondas typically do not like anything less than 12 volts for startup or running. If they have 11.8, which really doesn't seem that far off of 12, and really it's not, they're just kind of persnickety and they don't want to run well. You'll be on a freeway riding full bore and all of a sudden the bike will die. The hand movement, Mike, yes, I have hand movements, right? The bike will just die and you'll wonder why it's not got full, it doesn't have full voltage. So if your battery is 2 to 3 years old, it could be time. Most batteries crap out around 3 years. Sometimes you get a little more out of them, but after 3 years, you're kind of running on borrowed time. If that checks out good, very simple, check your fuses. If the fuses are not good, then nothing goes past them. From there, it's just a matter of making sure your coils are getting spark. If they are getting spark and you have fuel, then you could possibly have a compression issue, and at that point, you need to kind of do a leak down test. If you don't have a kit to do a leak down test, you can take it to a shop. It's a pretty simple procedure. It's not hard to understand how it works. I'm sure there's a bunch of yahoos on YouTube showing you how to do it with a cigarette hanging out of their mouth, and they're going to call you a fucker. So welcome to YouTube. A leak down test is going to help you determine whether you are having issues with, like, your rings are bad or you have scoring in the pistons. If you're getting blow-by meaning you're losing compression in your cylinder into either the crankcase or past the valves. How do I keep my hands so pretty? Well, dude, if you look at the ends of my thumbs, they're not fucking pretty. They're chewed the shit up. and I've got cracks in my fingers, but it's just this wonderful lighting, you know, that just makes me look so fantastic and young and vibrant. And I slather my face in all sorts of creams every night, you know, just So anyways, getting back to the discussion at hand here, if you are getting your loss of compression at the in your cylinders, then it's either going to manifest itself through pressure coming out of your crankcase breather, excessive pressure. You're going to feel just coming right out of a breather, or you're going to feel pressure come out of the exhaust. And if you do leak down test, or you just pressurize the cylinders with an air hose and the motor's not even turning over and you hear air coming out of your exhaust or whatever, a lot of it can be an indication that you have a problem with your compression. So again, the diagnostic tree is fuel, spark, compression. If you have any problems with your bike, it's not running, not starting up, check those three and start at the basics. Again, guys, these are the live videos I'm doing here are basically to answer any questions I get through, you know, emails or direct messages, things like that. And if you do have any questions, send me a direct message through Instagram, or you can send us an email. I just don't really have enough time to answer 80 emails a day with technical questions because I'd never build anything and no one would ever get anything sent to them. So that's why I'm doing these live videos. All these videos are going to be taken and split up into each topic that I cover, and they're going to be posted onto my support page. So anytime you have a question, you'll be able to go to that support page and search whatever your issue is. Like, my bike doesn't start. And so anything that has to do with starting a bike or diagnostics will be covered there, so that you can actually, you know, figure out what the hell is going on, and I don't actually have to answer questions over and over and over.